welcome to the first video in the Embry-Riddle Digital Studio Adobe Illustrator tutorial. Today I'm going to be walking you through kind of the basics of the toolbar, some of the tools I think are more important to know how to use. So we're going to start with your selection tool. So you can see here I already have a square drawn. So if I highlight it, you're going to see a lot of things. They'll have these little squares along the edges, circles on the interior, and this dot in the middle. So if I click anywhere like along the edge that isn't one of these squares or in the middle, I'm able to move the shape. If I click at one of these squares, I'm able to adjust the size of the shape. So if I grab this corner, I can change it this way. One of these lines here, one of these squares on the side, I can change the length and width. Now if I'm dragging the corner and I want to kind of keep this same shape, I'm going to want to hold shift, and that'll make it so that I scale up accordingly. So next is your direct select tool. These circles, what they're going to let you do is if you click and pull in, you see I kind of I round the edges out. So that's what the circle does. The direct select tool only lets you adjust these corners and move the figure around. You cannot adjust any of the edges. Like if I click this corner here, I just move the shape around. So I'm going to delete this, just free up some space, and go on to the pen tool. This is where you'll most likely be doing most of your illustrating. So before we start, I'm going to come over here to the right side of the screen, and you'll see fill, stroke, and opacity. Opacity, you probably already understand, that's just going to be how transparent the line you make is. Stroke is going to be the color of the line, and 1 pt is how thick the line is. So if I increase it or decrease it, the line will be thicker or thinner. And fill is going to be as you start to draw your lines and the shape closes in on itself, it's going to be what the interior color of that shape is. So just for now, I'm going to turn it off, and I'll explain it a little bit once I start drawing. So to start using the pen tool, you're just going to click a point, and you're going to see this blue line. Now that's going to be kind of where the line I draw is. If I hold shift, it's going to lock me to like 45 degrees and 90 degrees and all these different directions. And then once I finally have the line I want, let's say it's kind of straight across right here, I'm just going to click again. And if you see, if I move my mouse, it's going to automatically go into my second line. If I don't want to do that, I can hit escape, and I'm done. I just have my line there. And if I click it again, I'll be able to keep drawing. So I'll kind of just quickly make kind of like a triangle here. And if I click the select tool here, go over to this fill I was talking about before and make it red, you see how the interior of my triangle is now red. I'll click it again, increase the stroke, you can see that thickness changing. I can even change the stroke color, and you can see I kind of have this thick yellow border around my red triangle. Now if you don't want to draw a straight line, you're going to click with your pen tool again, and on your second point you're going to click and hold. This will let you kind of bring out this handle and change the curvature of your line. Now it's a bit tricky to use, so if you kind of just want to practice around like I am right now, and boom. As you can see, it kept my fill and stroke settings from before, so I'll just go and change that so it's not as much of an eyesore as we're working here. As you can see, it's going to keep my next line curved. If you don't want that, you're going to want to click on your endpoint again, and it'll have another line. And if I want to make a curve this way now, I can go like that. And then, as you see I'm kind of locked to a curve this way, so if I wanted to, maybe curve another way, I'd have to click on this line again. And make this weird shape here. So that's the line tool. That's going to be where you do most of your drawing. Now, if I wanted to edit any of these curves, I can pick my direct select tool. As you can see, it has those 2 points locked, but I can kind of move the lines. But it's going to make everything else kind of weird. So you can use your curve tool and just edit this curve. See, I can make this look a bit nicer. You can mess around with it, it's a very interesting tool to use. I don't find it as important. So next is the your rectangles and your circles, just your basic shapes. So if I click and hold here, you can see I have all the different shapes here. I have rectangle, ellipse, polygon, star, and line segment tool. And this works for all of these tools that have the little gray triangle on the bottom. If you click and hold, it'll bring up more tools that are similar to the ones shown on the toolbar. So rectangle tool is pretty simple. You're just going to click and drag, and it's going to make a rectangle. If you hold shift, you'll make squares. And again, it has the same fill and stroke settings as the line tool, so super easy. If we go to the ellipse tool, click and drag, you're going to make ellipses or ovals. Hold shift, and you're going to make circles. Now for the text tool, pretty simple. Just going to click and type. Very simple. I'll be going over type on a path tool in a later video. It's a bit more complicated and not the most important tool right now. And so lastly, what I think is a very important tool is hold on 1 second, the shape builder tool. So if I highlight both of these shapes using one of the selection tools and then click this shape builder tool, what it's going to do is going to allow me to kind of take this Venn diagram of shapes and make them into one. If I don't want this circle overlapping into my square, I can simply click in the square and drag it into this circle. And as you can see there, it took away this part of the circle that was in the square and made them one tool. This is really helpful for kind of outlining things. This kind of 3/4 circle would be really difficult to make by just drawing it. So by putting in this square, I'm able to kind of just lob off this part I don't want and make this shape really easily. Lastly, the pipette tool kind of just lets you copy colors or like stroke and fill from a shape that you already have. A lot of times people will put like a color palette as something to reference at the top of their workspace so that they could just click on the colors as you want. In my opinion, it's kind of like a luxury tool, not something you necessarily need to know how to use. So that's going to be it for the first video. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you come back for the next video.